democracy only works if our elections are free, fair, accessible, and trusted. And if the people entrusted with protecting them are willing to act before a crisis, not after one. Across this country, we're seeing democratic norms erode and civil liberties strain. That doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, through intimidation, disinformation, interference, and delay. And by the time people realize what's at risk, it can be too late. That's why indivisible groups, including Solidarity Warriors, Forever Indivisible, We Can, Indivisible Table Mountain, and Indivisible Lakewood, who are here today, as are many other indivisible groups, plus 21 more indivisible groups in Colorado and allied organizations from every corner of the country, are speaking up now, well ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. The letter we're delivering today is signed by more than 460 groups nationwide. It is being delivered to governors in all 50 states. That represents tens of thousands of engaged constituents who are paying attention and expecting leadership. Trump has already threatened to nationalize elections. Steve Bannon has called on him to deploy ICE and the military to polling sites. We're calling on governors and on the state leaders who oversee our elections to use the authority they already have to protect voters, election workers, and the integrity of the democratic process. This is not a partisan demand, it's a pro-democracy one. I'd like to read the letter we've sent to Governor Polis, Attorney General Phil Weiser, Secretary of State Jena Griswold, and State Senator Julie Gonzalez. Unfortunately, Polis's office did not get back to us about this event. But in a few minutes, each of the other three will have a chance to respond publicly. The letter lays out clear, specific questions about election security, transparency, voter access, and the rule of law. These are reasonable questions, and they deserve clear public answers. The letter is addressed to all U.S. governors. We represent several hundred indivisible chapters and allied groups across the United States. We write to express our profound concern about the ongoing erosion of democratic norms and civil liberties under the current federal administration. As governors, you wield the most significant executive power available to counter federal overreach and defend the rights of your residents. We call on each of you to use that power to ensure the security and integrity of the 2026 midterm elections. We are especially concerned that the measures needed to safeguard the integrity of the 2026 elections may not be initiated and fully in place soon enough. In light of our concerns about the erosion of democratic norms and the important roles you, your Attorney General, your Secretary of State, and the State Election Board play in ensuring fair and fully accessible elections, we respectfully seek clarification on the following. What steps will you take to ensure that state and local election regulatory and oversight bodies maintain fairness and impartiality in the execution of their responsibilities before, during, and after primary and general elections? What standards and processes do you plan to promulgate to ensure comprehensive, accurate, transparent, and timely audits of election processes and results? If necessary, how will you request that your legislature enact these standards into statute? What steps will you take to safeguard election officials, poll workers, judges, and their families against threats and intimidation? What measures will you implement to strengthen public trust in the integrity and transparency of electoral processes? How do you plan to ensure that the reapportionment and redistricting of federal, state, and local legislative districts are carried out transparently and equitably, providing all voters with equal representation? If practicable, how do you intend to mandate hand-marked paper ballots and establish clear chain of custody protocols to secure elections from interference? How do you plan to ensure fair enforcement of existing state absentee and mail-in ballot regulations? And what is your strategy for seeking legislation to broaden voter access to absentee and mail-in voting? If your state requires voter identification for voter registration or voting, what steps will you take to ensure that free, state-issued identification cards are available to all eligible citizens? How do you plan to safeguard voters' private election data by restricting unauthorized federal access, including the Department of Justice, to voter registration and prior election records? If the Department of Justice obtains voters' private election data in your state, how will you defend against lawsuits it may bring challenging voter registrations and absentee or mail-in ballots ahead of or during the 2026 election? What steps will you take to enforce existing state campaign finance regulations? And what is your strategy to seek new legislation to impose strict contribution limits and require real-time transparency of dark money contributions and expenditures, including the timely identification of all contributing individuals and corporations? We gratefully acknowledge that many of you and your respective administrations are already undertaking the actions we are inquiring about. We believe decisive action at this time is essential to ensure free, fair, and trusted elections in 2026. We thank you for your public service and look forward to your responses to these urgent questions. We're grateful that today we're joined by state leaders who understand the seriousness of this moment and are willing to respond directly. First, we'll hear from Attorney General Phil Weiser, who plays a critical role in defending voters' rights and standing up to unlawful interference. Then we'll hear from Secretary of State Jena Griswold, our state's chief election official, responsible for administering elections and ensuring they are secure, fair, and accessible to every eligible voter. And we'll also hear from State Senator Julie Gonzalez, who brings the perspective of the legislature and the power to turn protections into lasting law. As Colorado's Attorney General, Phil Weiser has taken on federal overreach and defended the rule of law, including during the first Trump administration, when he led legal action to prevent policies that would have undermined vote by mail and jeopardized the timely and fair counting of Coloradoans' ballots. And he's taken on the second Trump administration with moral clarity. Phil has been clear and consistent. Elections are administered by the states, protected by the Constitution, and must be conducted free from political interference. Phil is ready to defend our elections in 2026, and he's running for governor to provide that same level to provide that same level of moral clarity to defend the rule of law and fight back against this lawless bullying administration. Please welcome Attorney General Phil Weiser.
Now this is what democracy looks like. Our founders put us on this great American experiment. A government, as Abraham Lincoln once put it, of the people, by the people, say this with me now, for the people. It is fair to say we are living through one of the most important and challenging moments in the history of our democracy. I believe we will get through this dark time together because we, the people, will show up and will stand up against this lawless bullying administration. I believe this because we know what the challenges are. They're not hiding their playbook. And we're ready. First, we need to make sure that efforts to suppress the vote don't happen. Second, we need to make sure efforts to prevent the counting of the vote does not happen. And we need to make sure that we address gerrymandering and corporate money in our politics. So let's start there, shall we? Montana residents have a plan to take on Citizens United and get corporate money out of Montana politics. How about we do that in Colorado too? And this president has a plan to encourage gerrymandering, mid-cycle redistricting. How about we get ready in Colorado and say, we're not giving you that unfair advantage. The basic fairness of our elections lies in the balance. We have something, thanks to our framers of our Constitution, that will protect us, and it's standing right there. The time, place, and manner of how we hold elections, wait for this, shall be, can't quite read that word, prescribed by each state. This president has said he wants to nationalize the elections. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We are hearing more voices come together, standing for democracy. There are two basic reactions we're seeing against this administration. One, accommodation, appeasement. And the other, stand strong and fight back. Let me tell you what that looks like. This president has said, I don't like that Colorado has mail-in elections. Our answer, we're not changing. This president has said, I don't like that Tina Peters is incarcerated because she undermined Colorado's election integrity. And our message, tough luck, it's our laws. And when the president has promised and delivered on severe measures against Colorado, like withholding SNAP benefits from the most vulnerable, something this agricultural secretary just did, we're fighting back in court and we're winning. We need to protect the fabric of our Constitution. We need to protect our state sovereignty that makes sure in America it is the states who handle elections. And we are fortunate as a state to have set up the most resilient gold standard model to have elections, and you can bet we are going to protect and defend that model. We don't know all the threats that are coming, but we know some of them. We've seen their playbook. We've heard their threats. We're going to be ready. Just like in 2020, when I had to sue the post office twice and won both times. I had to take on a landlord who threatened his tenants, if you don't vote for Trump, there's trouble. We took him on too. My point is, as the people's lawyer, I know who I work for. As someone who worked for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and has sworn an oath to defend our Constitution, I know what my true north is. And I know that when we, the people, are heard, when we show up, when we demand that we follow principles, we will overcome this moment. We will hold this republic, and together we will defend our democracy. Thank you all very much.